Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Is this working? There we go. As you can see, we do not have a chair here today, so as per our procedural bylaw, if the mayor and deputy mayor are not present in the room, we're required to wait 15 minutes before starting the meeting and appointing a chair. However, I'd like to ask that council waive the procedural bylaw by two-thirds motion to waive that 15-minute waiting period for the, as we know that the mayor is not available and the deputy mayor is virtual with us, and to do that for both the special council meeting following this meeting and for the public hearings committee meeting. Okay, Councillor Van Pasten, Councillor Duthie, and then now in accordance with our procedural bylaw, council will have to appoint a chair for the meeting. Councillor Columbus?
Yes, thank you. I would appoint Councillor Alan Duthie to chair the meeting.
Do you have a seconder? Councillor Van Pasten? Thank you. Councillor Duthie, you can take the chair.
All right, welcome everybody. Thank you for your attendance today. I think in an effort just to ensure things are nice and clean related to the motions that you heard, to waive the procedural bylaw for those two items, I will call the question on them just out of making sure things are clean. So all those in favor of said motions? And that is carried. Thank you very much. All right. I would like to welcome all members and guests to the June 2nd, 2026 Public Hearing Committee meeting. I would like to remind everyone that our meetings are web streamed, so please ensure that your phones are on silent mode. Take a minute to do so now, if you wouldn't mind. For those that are attending virtually, please mute yourself when not speaking. When you are called upon to speak, please turn on your camera and unmute yourself. For staff in attendance, please use the Microsoft Teams raise hand feature to be called upon and remove it after speaking. I now call the June 2nd, 2026 Public Hearing Committee meeting to order. In terms of roll call, I will note that Councillor Very, Councillor Vandendriessche, and Councillor Huffman are all currently attending a police services conference and are attending virtually. It does appear like Councillor Vandendriessche may have signed off just briefly, but we are anticipating that she may be back. I will also note that Councillor Michelli is on his way but is running late, and Mayor Martin does send her regrets. Item 2, disclosure of pecuniary interest. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest today? I see none, so we will move on. Okay, item number 3, approval of the agenda and changes to the agenda. Committee has the agenda before them. There are 4 proposed additional items. I will read those off. So the first is to add registered speakers Ben Jones from Live Communities and Robert McQuillan from the Biglieri Group, RE agenda item 4.1227 Decoux Road, Simcoe. Second item is to add registered speaker Craig Rowe, GSP Group, RE agenda item 4.6, which is 16 Fernwood Drive, Simcoe. To add registered speaker Mike Crow from Arcadis, RE agenda item 4.3, 443 Talbot Road. May I have a motion to amend the agenda, please? That is moved by Councillor Columbus and seconded by Councillor Van Passen. Call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. So the agenda has now been amended. May I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Moved by Councillor Brunton, seconded by Councillor Van Passen. Thank you. Call the question. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Item 4, public meeting, public hearings. I will now officially open the public meeting authorized to be held under the Municipal Act, the Planning Act, and county policy. Please be advised that under the Ontario Planning Act, as amended by the province, only specified persons and public bodies, as defined in the Planning Act, may appeal a decision of Norfolk County to the Ontario Land Tribunal. Third parties or anyone who is not a specified person or public body do not have the right to appeal a decision to the Ontario Land Tribunal. However, to preserve the ability to be a party to any appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal, third parties or general members of the public are required to make comments or provide written submissions. These meetings are to allow oral and written comments, either in support or opposition to the application, and as to provide input to decisions on specific development applications. It's nice to see we have a full gallery today. Please all be mindful and respectful of everyone here and speaking today. Turn to item 4.1. It is 28 TPL 2026049, ZNPL 2026046, relates to 227 Decoud Road. It is staff report CDS 26064. This time I will call on Mr. Fabian Serra, planner, to present his report.
Thank you, through the chair. So I want to begin by welcoming everyone here today, this afternoon, for the public hearing. For this project, we'll be discussing a draft plan of subdivision and zoning bylaw amendment for the property identified as 227 Decoud Road, Simcoe. So the development proposal, the overall development proposal is to facilitate a residential subdivision that consists of a range of 268 to 509 residential dwelling units, containing a mixture of single detached and townhouse dwellings. For the zoning bylaw amendment, the purpose of the application is to change the zoning on the property from development zone, excuse me, from development zone to general industrial from development zone and general industrial to urban residential type 2, as well as open space zone. And special provisions are proposed for to add the use of street townhouses, as well as amend the provision for minimum lot area, minimum lot frontage for both interior and corner lots, minimum front yard setback, the minimum exterior, minimum interior side yard setbacks, minimum landscaping, deck encroachments, and an amendment to the site triangle provision. So a site context, currently the site is vacant and consists of, it's roughly 20 hectares in size, or 50 acres, and the surrounding land uses are predominantly residential to the north, residential to the south, and there is an institutional use directly to the east there, that being Sprucedale Youth Center. The site context, so the property is currently designated urban residential, and the zoning for the property is development zone and MG, or light industrial. As indicated, the parcel is currently vacant. It's a farmland. There it shows the relative views from the view of from Decoud directly, and then the view from the dead end at Woodway Trail and Donnelly Drive there. For this project, there was a series of applications, technical documents that was submitted as a part of a complete application. That includes a planning justification report, conceptual subdivision plan, a phasing plan, on-street parking plan, a survey, environmental impact study, as well as a traffic impact study, functional servicing and stormwater management reports, an ESA and archaeological studies, as well as a geotechnical study. For this application, we circulated the application and technical comments were received. Technical comments can be found in attachment C to the report package within the agenda there. Comments of interest include that the technical updates are required to the archaeological studies provided, as well as the traffic impact study provided. And staff did receive comments from the Grand Erie District School Board that a school block is being requested. So it may be required that a future zone change as well to incorporate the neighborhood institutional zone would be required as well to facilitate the school block being implemented into the subdivision. I recognize that the slide currently says that no public input or comments were received at this time, and at the time of drafting the presentation, there were no comments received. However, over the course of the weekend, we did have a few comments come in. I did circulate the comments to members of council, and to give everyone a quick summary of the public comments received, their primary concerns were in regards to the road access into the subdivision, environmental considerations and the potential impacts on the abutting properties with wells and water quality, increased traffic and active transportation, and the implementation of sidewalks both within the subdivision and on Deku, privacy components and oversight concerns, as well as the connection to the Lynn Valley Trail, increased density concerns in regards to the number of dwelling units proposed, and considerations for the Potts Cemetery at the southeast corner of the development. I will indicate that the public comments that were received will be included within the subsequent recommendation report that'll be following the information report. And that concludes staff's presentation. I thank you for your time, and I'm available for any questions. And I'm happy to share the conceptual drawing to give everyone a visual of the plan too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Serra. Appreciate the input and the work on that report. Are there any questions of committee on the report that's before you so far? Councillor Brunton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a few technical questions I'd like to ask, but I'm wondering if it would be out of line to ask. I'd like to hear from the deputation for Mr. Jones. My questions might get answered during that. So.
Yeah, we can circle back after those deputations. So yes, just hold that thought for just a moment. Is there anything further from committee at this moment? Okay, seeing none, we have two registered speakers for this item, 4.1A, which is Ben Jones from Live Communities related to 227 Deku Road. So Ben, welcome. Please come up to the podium. You have 5 minutes for your deputation. And as per our procedural bylaw, I will let you know when you have 1 minute remaining. If you just turn that microphone there, the button on the right. There you go, you got it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of council. If I could request your indulgence, I might ask Mr. McQuillan to join me. I have just a couple of opening comments, and then Mr. McQuillan is going to go through much more of the detail with respect to the presentation. So it may be expeditious to have us both at the same time, if council are amenable to that.
Please go ahead, yeah.
Okay. So good afternoon, members of council, Mr. Chair, members of the public. My name is Ben Jones. I'm Director of Land Development with Live Communities. Live Communities, for those who don't know, we were founded over 45 years ago as a custom home builder, have a long legacy in southwestern Ontario, building homes, mainly low-rise homes in a number of different communities. Today, we're spread fairly wide across southern Ontario. We're building homes in Brantford, in Brant County, in Hamilton, in Orillia, in Gravenhurst, and soon in Norfolk County, in Simcoe specifically, assuming we can move forward with these applications with the consent of council. So we're pleased to bring our lands here forward for consideration. We do note that the recommendation from staff is to receive this report and all the comments today for information. We are in receipt of the technical comments as well, and we'll be working through those diligently with staff. I do want to thank staff for their work and assistance thus far. It's been a very pleasant experience being new to Norfolk County, so I commend them for their professionalism and diligence and look forward to working with them further. That said, I'm happy to answer any questions, but I'd like to hand off to Mr. McQuillan here to handle any details of the application.
Okay. Yeah, if you have comments, go ahead, and then we'll circle back to questions. So go ahead.
Okay. I actually do have a presentation that I'm hoping to share as a part of my deputation. Thank you, Ben, for the introduction, and thanks also to staff for the thorough presentation thus far, and I'm happy to add a bit of additional context today.
We're just pulling up your presentation.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, that's great. Thanks again. And thank you for the opportunity to join you today, Council, and to members of the public. My name is Robert McQuillan. I'm a registered professional planner with the Bigley Area Group, and I'm one of the authorized agents on behalf of Live Communities. I'm also joined by my colleague, Rochelle Larocque, so together with Ben, we're happy to respond to any questions or comments that Council or the public may have today. So on the next slide, I'd just like to talk about the purpose and the intent of the applications for draft plan of subdivision and zoning bylaw amendment at 227 Decoux Road. So really what we're trying to do here is develop vacant lands within the town of Simcoe urban boundary for residential uses, to rezone the property in order to enable those uses, along with public parkland, civil infrastructure, and the opportunity for a potential elementary school here in the future, really delivering new housing supply in this area of Simcoe, next to existing built-up areas, and implementing county and provincial land use planning policy. So on the next slide, you'll see that the subject site is located in the southeastern corner of the town of Simcoe. It's directly south of an existing subdivision, and it's about 20 hectares in size, 51 acres, sloping towards the southwest, towards the trail and the creek that runs next to the property. Currently agricultural cropland, no existing buildings, and limited tree cover overall. On the next slide, you'll see that the property is located within the town of Simcoe urban area in the county official plan. So what that means is that while this land is used for agricultural cropland today, ultimately the intention of the county is that this is where this town will grow over the course of time. Similarly, on the next slide, you'll see that in the county official plan, the land use designation for the property is urban residential. So again, notwithstanding the current land use as agricultural, the intention is that this is where residential growth will take place in Simcoe in the future. So on the next slide, you'll see our proposed development plan, which Fabian presented previously, which consists of a mix of single detached and street townhouse dwelling units. We're still working on the exact unit mix and the exact unit count, which will advance in collaboration with the county in the fullness of time. But really what we'd like to share here is that based on the policy environment that governs land use on the subject site, the residential community that we're proposing is consistent and conforms to the official plan. On the next slide, what I'd really like to focus on is how this property fits within the existing and the emerging development context in this area of the town of Simcoe. So as I think I mentioned previously, this is directly south of an existing subdivision, but it's also connected to the proposed Woodway Trails development to the north, as well as the Calibrex development to the east. So through our planning exercise, what we've been really focused on is making sure that what we're proposing fits within the broader context in this area of Simcoe. So on the next slide, you'll see that we've done that in a few different ways. First, we're focused on making sure that vehicle, active transportation, and servicing connections are provided between our property and our neighbors' properties. So, for example, we're proposing that the existing Woodway Trail that terminates at the north end of our property be continued through the site down to Decoux Road, providing connections for, like I said, active transportation, vehicles, and servicing infrastructure. Similarly with road connections to the Woodway Trail development, Calibrex to the east, and an additional access to Decoux to the southwest. And on the next slide, we're proposing that public parkland be positioned central within our site so that not only are the future residents that live on this property able to easily access it in the future, but it's also accessible to the broader development area, creating a connected community for not just our future residents, but the residents in the broader area as well. As was mentioned previously, we did receive technical review comments, which did include feedback from the Grand Erie District School Board that there may be the need for an elementary school in this location in the future. So we're working with the school board to determine the feasibility and how that will work in the fullness of time. But if there were to be an elementary school here, we would consider that it should be central as well so that it's connected to the broader community that's being built out in this area of the town. So on the next slide, just to conclude, we're just sharing that we feel that based on the policy environment that governs land use in this area of the town of Simcoe, this is an appropriate development. It represents the intentions of urban residential land uses. Our proposed zoning bylaw amendment and draft plan of subdivision will help to implement this vision. We feel that it creates a connected community here in Simcoe, and we're happy to bring it forward today. Happy to answer any questions or comments that council or the public may have, and we appreciate your time.
Well done, Mr. McQuillan, keeping that to exactly 5 minutes for your comments. Thank you very much. All right, committee, you have heard the deputations from Mr. Jones and Mr. McQuillan. Over to you for questions. I'll start with Councillor Brunton, then Columbus.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks for your deputation. As you know, we've had a lot of controversy with not only your development, but the one to the north and the one to the east. And are you in discussions with both of those property owners? Some of the technical issues have not been resolved, and I'm sure you're aware of them, but not to get into the details, but are you aware and are you discussing them with it?
So thank you for the question through the chair to the councillor. There have been a number of ongoing discussions. We are aware of the approval of the site to the north recently at this council, and we know that we're in ongoing discussions with Calibrex developments to the east as well. Our purpose is recognizing that both of those sites are more advanced in the planning application process than we are. We're catching up so that the technical servicing constraints and limitations and access can all be coordinated between the various sites so that those discussions can continue. So we are in discussions. Some of those discussions they happen in fits and starts, so it'll be quite vocal for a little while and then it'll quieten off. I anticipate that since we have technical comments now, we'll have review and public comments received today as well. We'll be engaging in a redesign exercise to take into account those comments, including the location of the school site, and then that will need to go forward and be addressed in conjunction with the adjacent landowners. So I apologize for the wordy answer. So yes, we are in discussions, maybe not immediately at this time because we are catching up with our neighbors, but the intent is to continue those discussions going forwards.
Well, let me be more specific. Do you see the outlet for the sanitary sewer to our treatment plant? Do you see that being resolved soon?
I think there are ways that it can be resolved, but there are further discussions that need to take place between ourselves and the neighbors. Our report, the servicing report specifically that we provided with the application, does outline alternate servicing routes that could be explored with county staff. Should staff be amenable to those approaches. So we believe there's a variety of servicing solutions that could be brought forward, but the preferred solution is something that will need consent of our neighbors.
Okay, my second question is the school site kind of came out of the blue in the last while, but having been involved in the Donnelly Drive school site, it was way undersized in terms of parking and pickup of children after school, before school. And I just wondered, like, when you talk to the Erie board, will they tell you the size of the property they need, or who dictates that?
So the school board has provided us with their general site requirements.
Yeah.
In conjunction with the other technical comments that we've received, we need to take those requirements. And one of the key pieces is co-location with the park. So we're going to propose some options and work with the school board to ensure that the size and location and configuration of the school block and the park block are appropriate.
Yeah, I'd just like to see a lot more off-street parking with this site, because the Donnelly Drive one was a bit of a failure. So anyways, thank you. That's it for now, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Columbus.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When do you anticipate the first basement going in?
Great question. Through the chair to the councillor, I would anticipate we need to work through the balance of the planning approvals. That will likely take, I would think, until the end of this year, depending on how that design process goes. We do also need to work through detailed design following draft approval. That, along with earthworks, typically takes another year. So we're end of 2027. Potential servicing on the site would be 2028, so say basements in 2029 if the stars align. That will be dependent on market conditions as well, as we all know, but that's kind of a rough timeline that we have in mind right now.
Okay, are there further questions for the deputations? Any from those folks joining us online? Councillor Vanderdrish, did you have questions or no? You're good.
No, I just wanted to wave to you and tell me I'm good.
Hello, it's nice to see you. I hope you're enjoying the conference.
Nice to see you. Yes, we are.
I do have a couple of questions then. And I'm not sure, I'll say it, and whoever wants to respond can respond. I do want to just piggyback on the point raised by Councillor Brunton, specifically related to the parking around the school zone. It is something that we are plagued with, certainly here in Simcoe, but I would say it's school areas across Norfolk County, where we hadn't really anticipated vehicular traffic specifically around the school. Donnelly Drive is a fantastic example of that. And as a result of COVID, they have changed within the school board restrictions around vehicular traffic on school sites specifically. So I don't want us to get trapped later by not having allocated adequate parking and sort of a thoroughfare for drop-off zones around there. So what sort of reassurances could you provide that you'll, if there is a school block that's required, you'll meet and hopefully exceed requirements there?
So through you, Mr. Chair, I think the good news for us is that we've received these comments from the school board more recently, so we haven't gone back to the drawing board on our site design thus far. That's the next step of the process for us. So hearing these comments today allows us to really factor into our school site design if it were to be advanced on this property, a parking configuration and a layout that meets those requirements from council. This is going to be an ongoing discussion with the Erie District School Board over the next number of months as we sort out where the school site might go, how we configure it, like Ben said, with co-location with the park, and knowing that parking is going to be a challenge. That's something that we can consider as we design the school. We did also include an on-street parking plan as well, just as a part of the application itself. So I suspect that as we introduce a school, that will play into our configuration of on-street parking and off-street parking for the mixed residential and institutional use.
Thank you. Can you give me an understanding at this point in time what your plan would be related to construction access, where that goes? And timeline of such?
Probably best for me to tackle that one. So construction timelines, as I mentioned to Councillor Columbus, the general timeline would be maybe sometime in 2027 for some earthworks operations, and then 2028 for servicing, and then beyond for house construction. This is a large subdivision which we will be phasing. That's why a phasing plan was included. We would anticipate at this time that the best access for construction will be off Decoux. We do have a couple of accesses planned, and so depending on the phasing, we tend to plan construction accesses so that we minimize disruption to existing residents while providing safe access for construction vehicles, but then also amending that construction access as we progress through a phased subdivision to ensure that the new residents are also not inconvenienced any more than necessary by the construction traffic. So it'll be a working progress over the next number of years, and it is something that we typically keep staff up to date with as we move along as well.
Thank you. I think it's fair to say that that's one of the overarching comments that we've heard related to this entire site, if you look at it in its entirety. The public parkland that is intended to be centrally located in the site, I think that's good. Where does that fall in the phasing?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I don't recall exactly when it falls on the phasing plan. Depending on when the school board is going to require their block as well, and its co-location with the park, I think is going to be the primary driver of when that parkland is provided. Depending on whether the school board needs their block earlier in the development or later, will depend on how that phasing works out. We're certainly open to working with staff to ensure that it is provided sooner if the county wishes that. The fortunate thing about it being centrally located means that as we phase through the subdivision, likely working west to east because the west has our stormwater management pond, then we can add on the parkland to an earlier phase if that's something that the county wishes to explore. But that's a comment that we can certainly take back and bring back to council once we bring the final design to highlight that for everybody.
So parkland, I'll tell you, in that subdivision is very, very much in demand. And you had touched as well on market conditions dictating construction. Do you have, and my apologies, I don't really know if there's sort of an industry standard to this, but what that looks like in terms of a threshold before you start construction on phase one in terms of percentage sold, et cetera? Is there, a standard number that you would need to hit before you get to that, or what?
Through the chair, typically it depends on the nature and the terms of the financing arranged with any financing partners. So that's something that we get into on a site-specific basis. We do, as a practice, LIV tends to like to sell through our sites as much as possible so that we're not dragging out construction over a longer period of time. So for example, if our first phase is 100 homes, then we may look to sell out most, if not all, of those 100 homes before construction starts so that the concentrated period of construction will be minimized, and thereby we can move on to other phases and minimize disruption and impact. But it will depend on the financing that we receive as we move forward, and the uptake of the market as well, which may require smaller phases or larger phases if market conditions dictate.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that's my questions for now. Okay, we'll circle back around the floor. I saw Councillor Columbus first, then Brunton.
Yep, thanks, Mr. Chair. It's been mentioned that school sites a lot of times are pretty tight, and you mentioned that the school site and the parkland would be central, which we saw in the diagram. Is there any way that you can have the school abutting the parkland so that the students can use the parkland at the same time? We have that similar situation at Delcrest and the Catholic school in Delhi, and it works really well. That way you get maximum use out of the parkland in the school.
Through the chair to the councillor, that's exactly the plan, is we look to have the two abutting so that if there are opportunities to share facilities and to have residents accessing the park or students accessing the park at the same time, I think that makes the most sense. So absolutely.
Thank you, Councillor Columbus. Councillor Brunton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question, if I may, could I ask this of a planner, please? My question is the lands to the north, and we know the importance of the lands, how they relate to this development. Is there any indication if and when they are going to the OLT? Can somebody answer that?
Ms. Cull, please.
Through the chair, no, we don't have a date yet, but it is with the OLT. We just have not received any confirmation of any dates.
Do they work to any time frame at all, or?
Through the chair, no. It just depends on how busy they are at any given day.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any further questions from committee at this point? Seeing none in chambers and none currently online. Okay, just an update for the gallery. Councillor Michelli is en route, is going to be joining us virtually in about 20 minutes or so. Okay, so may I have a mover to receive these deputations as information? Yes, I'll come back to that in just a minute. I'm going to deal with the deputations first, and then we'll do the public comments. Thank you, Mr. Serra. Moved by Councillor Columbus, seconded by Councillor Van Passen. Call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Okay, so is there, now this is the opportunity for those that are gathered in chambers that wish to speak to the report, whether that's to pose questions or share concerns or in the other direction. We will endeavor, if staff have the answers today, to provide them if they are brief. However, we may not have the answer at this moment in time. The goal of today really is to share the information that's presented at this moment in time. Staff will capture the questions, the comments, and the concerns that are raised. We'll take that into consideration, have further discussions with the applicant and their agent, and then revise the plan as needed and as they see fit. So we may not have the answers today, but we'll see what we can do. So if there is anyone in the gallery that would like to come forward, please make your way to the podium. If there are multiples, please make a nice orderly line, turn the microphone on, and you'll have 5 minutes for your deputation. So if you like, we will also need your name for the public record. So if you want to go forward to that podium up there. And if you would mind, state your name for the record, please, once you get that microphone on. Just turn on the mic there. Sorry, button on the right. Thank you.
Jeff Yacht. I live at 137 Deku Road.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just wondering why we would approve a new development when there are like at least 2 or 3 other developments in Simcoe that are not finished and sit at least half vacant. So I don't understand why a new one needs to start when there's all these other units and lots that are empty. My second question would be, who votes on this this zoning change? I just want to know who has the pull and who has the vote on who is going to decide whether this zoning change will happen. And then my third question would be, yeah, how are the deer going to get by? Because we see deer go by all the time, and it's not going to work. If there's houses there, like the deer traveling through Lynn Valley Trail, it's just not going to work. So those are my 3 questions. If anyone can answer that, that would be great.
Okay, Mr. Yacht, thank you for your comments. They have been captured. I will ask planning staff if you have anything that you want to share on any of those. Okay, Ms. Culls, our manager of planning.
Through the chair, so I just want to speak first to, I do recognize there are a lot of developments that aren't complete yet, but just the way the Planning Act works, anyone can come in at any time with an application, so we can't tell people, well, we can't approve you until every lot's built in Simcoe type of thing. They're allowed to come in and ask for that change. The decision is made by council, so it will come back at a later time for a decision. So I'm not sure the date of that yet, but the decision will be made by council. And was there anything I'm missing?
Third one was related to the deer, and I'm not sure that.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
Yes.
Through the chair, that would be council that votes on it. And the deer, there's I believe an environmental impact study for this property that has been completed, but the lands are in the urban boundaries, so they are open to development.
Okay, are there further folks? Yeah, please come on forward. Again, state your name for the public record. You have 5 minutes.
My name is Paul Harris. I live at 204 Deku Road, and I'm just reading from an item submitted by our neighbor by email, but he wanted to make sure that I gave this to you directly. So it addresses 2 main concerns. The first one is access. It appears on the plan in the communication that there are 3 access points to the development, 1 off Donley and 2 off Deku. One near the bottom of the hill on the road, the other at the top of the hill on the road. In my opinion, and our opinion, both of these access routes create public safety hazards of the highest degree. The one at the bottom of the hill at 137 Deku Road is close to the nature trail. There's a lot of pedestrian and cycling traffic at that road intersection of the trail. This increased vehicle traffic would have negative consequences, possibly endangering life. Further, this area of the road has very limited visibility to traffic on the road itself. It is a dangerous spot as traffic is often accelerating coming up and down the hill. And the sightline is extremely short if vehicles need to avoid other vehicles, pedestrians, or animals. This would be magnified in bad weather and winter-type conditions. The other at the top of the hill is just as dangerous and for similar reasons. The line of sight to oncoming traffic is very limited due to cars coming up the hill. In a situation where stop or avoidance is required, there doesn't seem to be enough distance, view from a vehicle, to stop a vehicle as you're usually accelerating to get up the hill. This is especially true in bad weather or difficult road conditions, such as in winter. This would result in dangerous, possibly life-threatening situations. This would also be possible in ideal conditions. Neighbors have been narrowly missed on several occasions. By this, my neighbor had to suddenly swerve to allow clearance, and he was still in his driveway. So vehicles consistently speed along Decoux Road, especially coming from Blue Line, where there's no stop sign or light until Norfolk Street. There needs to be a light at Decoux and at Ireland due to the increased traffic. Police do monitor by sitting beside the Potts Cemetery and regularly catch offenders. Lastly, with the road itself having almost no area for cyclists or pedestrians to walk on the sides of the road, vehicles are constantly having to swerve to avoid pedestrians and having cycling traffic up the hill. The second one has to do with housing. The current plan consists mainly of multiple family units. This has many repercussions to the traffic situation as previously noted, repercussions to the environment as well as tasking of the infrastructure of the town's services. The hydro already flickers and brownouts occur when the temperature rises and everyone's AC goes on. Just last year we had a major, almost a 2-day hydro outage. That kind of lack of service is dangerous for many who depend on hydro for services or simply surviving at home. The town has many seniors who are housebound or in facilities that need constant, reliable infrastructures, as many of these homes are people's forever homes. The document proposes between 268 and 509 residential units to be built here. That kind of density will no doubt have to have the town's infrastructure improved to service these units. Who pays for that? I dearly hope it won't be the residents and their taxes and services. They already go up each year at an alarming rate. A better solution, if this area is to go forward, is to limit it to single dwellings, only as has been done in the north and west of the land area. This would be easier on services, the overall environment, and infrastructure. The existing infrastructure could accommodate single dwellings possibly. If so, less cost to the town and less need for the rates to increase dramatically. That is all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Your comments have been captured.
Can I give this is like a physical copy from my neighbor, and he wanted to make sure that it went to the appropriate person.
Yeah, if you want to pass it to Mr. Sarah behind you, we'll ensure that, I do feel like council has already received it, but we'll ensure that's the case. Okay, are there any further comments? Yeah, please come on forward. Again, state your name for the public record. You've got 5 minutes.
My name is Karen Baird, and I'm at 179 Decoux, which is right at the top of the hill. I don't know if you've ever come out of my driveway, but my life, I wanted to reiterate, my life is in my hands every time I turn out of my driveway. Now, I chose to live there. It's been there since 1958, so that's a done deal. However, it makes my life further in danger with all of the traffic that's going to be existing on Decoux Road. Right now, I have to watch every so often, but it could be that I have a string of parade of cars that I don't see coming, especially in the winter, as mentioned. Also, and again, with our neighbors, our well. Can you guarantee that my well is not going to be affected? I know they're doing land surveys. They've been on my land doing surveys of such sort. But how do we have the guarantee that my water is going to be safe to drink, that I'm going to have enough water, that I'm going to have enough electricity? Okay?
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, please come on forward, sir. And if there are other members in the gallery that would like to speak to this, if you could just make your way up so as to keep things moving along. I know there's a number of people here today.
Stanley Shimginowski, Ironwood. And this is what was said about safety. So this is a huge issue. No sidewalk as well. I'm not going to repeat about the safety because too much time was already taken. I want to emphasize about services. Number one is the water. water is not sufficient pressure already, is below 40 psi, has been measured many times. And we experience already the problem. Nothing has been said about the wastewater. As you know, we have different development and what is going to be proposal for the new one for the land. Nothing has been addressed yet. So my question is, when very important, like the safety and open the new street will be addressed for the meeting or information? What is the plan and how is going to be addressed?
Thank you for your comments. So I'll give kind of a cursory answer to that, I think, and then certainly if planning has anything to say. So again, just a reminder, the goal here today is to capture the comments from the community, the concerns that you're raising. Our staff in planning will work alongside the applicant, the agent, and our engineering group to review all of the reports that have been made, whether that is servicing on water and wastewater, whether that is traffic impact study, vehicular safety, all of those things. And they'll work with the agent to come up with a plan that makes best sense. That will then come forward to council for approval. So related to Mr. Yacht's question earlier. Certainly, if you would like further information, you can speak with our planning staff and make sure that they have your contact information and can share things as that comes forward. Ms. Call, have I missed anything? Okay. If there are other members in the gallery that would like to speak, please do come forward. Again, state your name for the public record, and you've got 5 minutes.
Hi, my name is Rick Bridge, and me and my wife have lived at 201 Duku Road for 40 years, and we've enjoyed the field. I mean, it's been a blessing for us to have it this long. One of my only concerns is that I'm worried about, because we've seen it already happening with the developments back there now, is there has been people coming across the field and accessing over to our areas. And there has been some minor vandalism, but it has happened. So my concern is the privacy. Is there going to be anything that's going to be put in place regards to a berm or a high fence to give us that privacy from looking at this development that's going to be happening? I have put in a written report in. I assume that will be taken into consideration. I won't keep too much more time of council here and all of you guys, but all that information is in there. And I've also printed off that I've got from public has access to in regards to a lot of the comments that have already been out there and brought to your attention, that I hope that they will be addressed, and considering to water, wells, water runoffs, all that type of stuff, you know, and the busyness. I mean, yeah. I mean, my wife's ran a daycare, a home daycare with that home for 40 years. And the traffic, I mean, we have to watch. I mean, we sing the song with the kids because we do a lot of walking down the trail, you know, and it's a dangerous road now to get across and walk facing traffic, or coming home and walk facing traffic. So, I mean, with this development coming up, I mean, Carolyn, she's not going to watch third generation kids, but, you know, you don't know who else is going to be moving into our home, or what other people are going to be in that area that it could affect many, many years beyond what we're going to be there. So I just hope that's all in consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bridge. And I did note that the applicant and agent were writing fastidiously while you were talking, so thank you. Okay, is there anyone else? Okay, seeing none in the gallery, is there anyone online that would like to speak to this application? Okay, final call, anyone in the gallery or anyone online? Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Columbus, yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, we've heard about safety a few times in the Coup Road. Can we get an idea when the Coup Road could possibly be upgraded and widened?
I don't know if Mr. Grice or Mr. Lambert are able to provide any insight to that at this moment in time. Perhaps not, but we'll come back as part of the report. Thank you for your question. Okay, is there someone that would like to move the staff recommendation, please? Are we putting that on the screen? It's, I believe, going on the screen. I see Councillor Van den Driesch's hand and Councillor Brunton. And just to be clear, the staff recommendation is simply just to receive this as information at this moment in time. No decisions being made today, simply to receive it as information. Okay. All right, I will call the question then. Those in favor to receive the staff report. And that is carried. Thank you very much. Okay, we will move on to 4.2, which is ZNPL 2026008, 1017 St. John's Road West, staff report CDS 26-061. Perhaps we'll just pause for a couple of minutes to allow those in the gallery that wish to exit time to do so.
Sure. When will this be voted on? Do you know that?
I don't at this moment in time. There's some work that has to be done between staff at this moment. Okay, so we are, again, as I said, moving on to 4.2. It's 1017 St. John's Road West. Staff report CDS 26-061. At this time, I would ask Ms. Olivia Davies, Junior Planner, to present her report.
Thank you. Through the chair to council, this application is seeking a zoning bylaw amendment to recognize lot area deficiencies created as a result of a related consent application. The application seeks to add a special provision to Part 1 of the subject lands to permit a reduced lot area of 0.15 hectares in the residential hamlet zone where 0.4 hectares is required, as well as add a special provision to Part 2 of the lands to permit a reduced lot area of 26.02 hectares in the agricultural zone where 40 hectares is required. This application will help facilitate a severance of the lands. The holding on Part 1 of the property will remain on the site. The property is located at 1017 St. John's Road West. It comprises of 26.17 hectares. The property currently contains a single detached dwelling and accessory buildings. The surrounding land uses are primarily agricultural and residential in nature. The lands are located within the agricultural and hamlet designations under the official plan and are zoned agricultural and residential hamlet under the zoning bylaw. The portion of the lands zoned RH currently have a drainage-related holding on the site, which will remain. As you can see in this picture here, that's that part of the property. A planning justification report was submitted as part of this application. The planning application was circulated to internal and external agencies for comments, and staff have received technical comments which can be found in Attachment C. Comments of interest have been provided from Development Engineering, noting concerns regarding drainage. No public comments have been received at the time of publishing this report. However, I did receive a few phone calls looking for more information about what was being proposed. The proposal will facilitate the creation of an infill residential lot in the hamlet of Walsh. Please note that no buildings are being proposed at this time. In conclusion, the proposal seeks to recognize deficient lot areas created as a result of a consent application. The application proposes to rezone the subject lands from agricultural and residential hamlet withholding to agricultural and residential hamlet withholding with special provisions for reduced lot area. Staff recommend that this report be received for information and any comments received be considered in a future staff recommendation report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Davies. Are there any questions of committee on the report? Seeing none, none from the online crew. Thank you, Councillor Michelli. Glad you've been able to join us. Okay, is there anyone in chambers who wishes to speak to this report? And finally, is there anyone on the line who wishes to speak to this report? Seeing none, does someone wish to move the staff recommendation? Moved by Councillor Van Passen, seconded by Councillor Columbus. Call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Okay, 4.3. This is ZNPL 2026042. Relates to 433 Talbot Road. It is staff report CDS 26-069. I would ask Mr. Josh Mueller to present his report.
Thank you very much. Through the chair to Deputy Mayor or Chairman and Council, an application has been submitted to rezone a portion of land located at 443 Talbot Street in Delhi. The proposal is to amend The proposal is to amend a portion of the land from agricultural zone to general industrial zone. A holding provision will be placed on part of the property to allow for completion of an archaeological works. The site, in context, the site is generally flat. The proposal is to utilize the site for an outdoor storage yard for Scott's Fertilizer. The total land area is 11.21 hectares, with a 6.7 hectare portion proposed to be rezoned for the proposed storage yard. Surrounding land uses are agricultural, industrial, and residential. No major concerns have been raised by the public. In fact, I have gotten 0 public comments, and just a few concerns from circulated agencies. So there's site context. Preliminary review, there's a list of studies there that have been submitted for this application. And like I said, no major concerns raised by commenting agencies. There is some drainage issues that have been worked on, and there are some LPRCA issues that are being continually worked on. Preliminary considerations, that application is working to complete. Yep. And next steps and recommendations, considering of all public input, review of all technical comments, recommendation report at a future council meeting, and public hearing recommended. It is recommended that CDS 26069 for development application ZNPL 2026042 be received, and that further that any comments received as part of the statutory public meeting will be considered in a future recommendation staff report. Thank you. I'll now answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Mueller. Are there any questions from committee today? Seeing none in chambers, are there any from the online crew? Seeing none. All right, we have one registered speaker for this item. It's listed on the agenda, I believe, as 4.3.A. Mike Crew, I'm not sure, from Arcadis, who is joining us virtually related to this item, 433 Talbot Road. Mike, my apologies if I've butchered your name. Welcome. You have 5 minutes for your deputation, and I will let you know when you have 1 minute remaining. Please go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you very much to chair, members of committee, and staff, and members of public. No problems associated with the name. It happens all the time. It's actually a crow like the bird, but I think that's the most common pronunciation I get, so not a problem at all. I do have a presentation, but I think I really just want to be brief for committee. This application follows a process at the county level, which expanded the urban boundary onto these lands and designated it for industrial use. And so we've been involved with the clients, Scotts Canada, since that time. They've acquired the subject lands adjacent to their existing facility, and they were looking to expand. And so our initial proposal would have been to apply to expand the urban boundary and make an amendment kind of in line with that comprehensive review process. But as we know, that took a little bit of time, and we just decided it was better to wait and had some discussions with staff on options. And here we are today now with just what I think is a simple zoning amendment. Next slide, please. So it's really just an expansion to the existing Scotts Canada facility, and the main objective is just to permit some additional outdoor storage. It's a very busy plant. I'm probably very familiar with it. It's a great business for the county and for the community. It provides a lot of employment. It, I think, operates very well at this location. It's got a good connection to local transportation routes and to highway connections. And that's one of the main drivers of this expansion. Is right now, Scotts Canada is renting offsite storage, and it's becoming very costly. And so this is a better long-term solution for them. There was previously an expansion that occurred just about 4 or 5, maybe 6 years ago. We were involved in that application as well. So that expansion to the north of this current proposal. So that went through the very same process. And, I think you can see how that's functioning there, but there's just more need. So in our view, the approval of the zoning will bring the lands into conformity with the Norfolk County official plan, which resulted in part through that urban boundary expansion and industrial designation through OPA 163, which is now fully in effect. Next slide, please. So that's just the map showing that, and maybe I'm just telling you things you already know, but I just think it's good practice to kind of go through it and make sure those that are watching and participating understand the mapping. So there's the expansion site in red, the existing facility lands are in white, and you can see the Amendment 97 call out. That's actually a previous expansion area as well. That's the one I was referring to. So if you put the red and white shapes together. That'll be the full extent of the Scotts Canada facility and outdoor storage lands. And that's all within the protected industrial OP designation. Next slide, please. Just another graphic showing that. So the expansion lands are approximately 6.7 hectares. We can't make use of all of that for development. There's some offset from the adjacent creek feature, and we're working with the Conservation Authority on some other parameters for their regulations. And then we'll have to accommodate some grading and drainage, but the idea for Scotts is to use as much of that land area as possible for the storage. And you can see through the air photo the way that they're utilizing the existing space. It's primarily free-flowing storage that kind of functions around truck turning movements and loading parameters for forklifts and things that operate with material on pallets. There's really no building or structure, so it's just really just a function of grading and drainage and putting in stormwater management, and then allowing the site to kind of be free flowing and functioning as Scotts requires. Next slide, please. This is a site plan, so just in black and white, it's not fantastic, but you can just see, try to outline where we'd have some rows of pallet storage and where truck turning movements might occur and how it would connect to the existing site, and some of the features that will happen at the boundary conditions just to make it seamless travel paths for vehicles and to ensure it's all one facility. And then in the kind of upper left-hand corner of the site plan, there's a stormwater pond there. There's some swales that would work with that as well. So all of that kind of building off of the existing conditions and development patterns and working with the constraints of the site and knowing that it's not building the structures, but really just making sure it's usable and graded properly, and we can deal with stormwater from that. Next slide, please.
1 minute remaining.
And that's it. So our recommendation just to continue, instruct staff to continue processing the application. I know this is on the special council meeting for the following this one. And, you know, for Scotts Canada, the idea is just to get the zoning approval as quickly as possible so they can just go to the next stage and obviously deal with technical comments and address those as we go. So that's still good planning, but just to go as quickly as possible. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer those as they come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Crow. All right. Are there questions of committee for the deputation? None in chambers. Doesn't appear like there's any online. Okay. May I have a mover then to receive this deputation as information? Moved by Councillor Columbus, seconded by Councillor Brunton. I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Is there anyone in chambers who wishes to speak to this report? Seeing none, is there anyone on the line who wishes to speak to this report? Seeing none. Okay. Does someone wish to move the staff recommendation? Moved by Councillor Columbus, seconded by Councillor Brunton. Again, that is to receive the report and all of the public feedback. I will call the question on this item. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Okay, 4.4 is at NPL 2026034. It is 17 Lynn Park Avenue. Staff report CDS 26-084. Once again, call on Ms. Olivia Davies, Junior Planner, to present the report.
Thank you. Through the chair to the committee, this application is seeking a zoning bylaw amendment to rezone the subject lands. The application seeks to rezone the subject lands from neighborhood institutional and urban residential type 1A zone to urban residential type 1B zone with holding. No development has been proposed as part of this application. The property is located on Kelly Drive, recently severed from the property located at 17 Lynn Park Avenue. The area of the subject lands is approximately 0.46 hectares, and the property is currently vacant, but it is used as a recreational field right now. The surrounding land uses are primarily residential, with institutional uses such as a church and a school on nearby properties. The lands are located within the urban residential designation under the official plan and are currently zoned neighborhood institutional and R1A zone under the zoning bylaw. Here's a picture of the subject lands. You can see they're vacant, but they are being used as like a soccer field. A planning justification report was submitted as part of this application. The application was circulated to internal and external agencies for comments, and staff have received technical comments, which can be found in attachment C. Comments of interest have been provided from development engineering in regards to requesting a holding be placed on the site relating to servicing and archaeological matters prior to any future development of the site. No public comments have been received at the time of publishing this report. However, I did receive a phone call seeking clarification on what was being proposed. Overall, the proposal seeks to rezone a property to allow for further residential-related uses on the site, and that no development has been proposed at this time. In conclusion, this proposal seeks to rezone the subject lands from IN and R1A to R1B zone, withholding. Please note that there was an error found in the proposed bylaw attached to this report regarding the legal description, and this will be corrected in a future staff report. So overall, staff recommend that this report be received for information, and any comments received be considered in a future staff recommendation report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Davies. Are there any questions of committee on the report? Okay, seeing none, is there anyone in chambers who wishes to speak to this report? Yeah, thank you. Please come forward. State your name for the public record. Just turn on that microphone, please, by pressing the button on the right. On the top. Lower down. There you go. I think you found it. There you go.
There. Hi, my name is Dennis Blake. And the only thing missing from that report is that there was 2 properties put together. Part of it was already residential, and all we're planning to do is make the whole thing residential because it's excess property that the parish no longer needs.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll make sure those comments are captured. Is there anyone else in chambers that wishes to speak to this report? Okay, is there anyone on the line that wishes to speak to this report? Okay, does someone wish to move the staff recommendation? Moved by Councillor Van Passen, seconded by Councillor Micheli. Call the question, please. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. All right, moving right along, 4.5. This one is ZNPL 2026065. Relates to 1199 and 1213 Thompson Road East. It is staff report CDS 26-083. You're back to back to back. Ms. Davies, Junior Planner, please present your report.
Thank you. Through the chair to the committee, this application is seeking a zoning bylaw amendment to recognize lot area deficiencies created as a result of consent application BNPL 2026-064. The application seeks to add a special provision to Part 1 of the subject lands to permit a reduced lot area of 36.61 hectares in the agricultural zone where 40 hectares is required, as well as add a special provision to Part 2 of the lands to permit a reduced lot area of 27.96 hectares in the A zone where 40 hectares is required. This application will help to facilitate a farm split. The property is located at 1199 and 1213 Thompson Road East, comprising of 122.73 hectares. The property currently contains single detached dwellings, accessory buildings, and farmland. The surrounding land uses are primarily agricultural and residential in nature. The lands are located within the agricultural and hazard land designation under the official plan and are zoned agricultural and hazard land under the zoning bylaw. Here's photos of the subject lands. A planning justification report was submitted as part of this application. The application was circulated to internal and external agencies for comments, and staff have received technical comments which can be found in attachment C. There are no technical comments of note. No public comments have been received at the time of publishing this report. This proposal will facilitate the creation of separate agricultural farming lots. In conclusion, this proposal seeks to recognize lot area deficiencies created as a result of a consent. The application proposes to rezone the subject lands from agricultural to agricultural with special provisions for reduced lot areas. Staff recommend that this report be received for information and any comments be considered in a future staff recommendation report. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Davies, thank you very much. I think your first time out at council, so excellent job on your presentations today.
Thank you.
Are there any questions of committee on the report presented? Okay, seeing none, is there anyone in chambers who wishes to speak to this report? Please come forward. Seeing none, and is there anyone on the line who wishes to speak to this report? Okay, also seeing none. So does someone wish to move the staff recommendation, which is to receive as information and to capture any public comments? I see Councillor Huffman's hand. So Councillor Huffman and seconded by Councillor Van Passen. Councillor Van Passen, you have a question?
Yeah, just a comment. This is, we just dealt with this committee of adjustment. Farms merged in title by accident, and now they have to go through the process of splitting them back apart, but they're not changing the size or anything. They were that way before, but that's okay. As soon as you change them, then you have to get the minor variances. So a couple of little lawyers' mistakes is costing a lot of staff time and the applicants a lot of money. So
Fair point. Thank you very much. You are happy to second that report or that motion, correct? Okay, I will call the question, please. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, we will move on now to 4.6. This is ZNPL 2026028. 28 CDPL 2026029 relates to 16 Fernwood Drive. The staff report is titled CDS 26093. I would now call on our planner, Mr. Andrew Wallace, to present his report. Mr. Wallace, take it away.
Thank you. Through the chair, this application, oops, my apologies. I thought I had started this. Right. Through the chair, this application is seeking a zoning bylaw amendment to facilitate a draft plan of condominium on the site municipally known as 16 Fernwood Drive in Simcoe. It is proposed to change the zoning on the subject lands from urban residential type 4 with special provision 14.979 to urban residential type 4 with an amended special provision 14.979. The existing use was approved through LPAT, now OLT, on February 6, 2020. The subject lands are located between south of Thompson Road and west of Lee Avenue, with the only frontage onto Fernwood Drive. The land is undeveloped land and has residential uses to the north, east, and west, and agricultural lands to the south. Also to the south is an unopened section of South Drive. As existing, all the lands are within the urban residential official plan designation, and the lands are in urban residential type 4, again, as approved by OLT in 2020. The site is an undeveloped former agricultural field within the urban boundary. It sits behind existing dwellings on Lee Avenue, Thompson Road, Fernwood Drive, Ironwood Road, and Serviceberry Lane, with a single point of access from Fernwood Drive. As you can see in the photographs, the deadhead that was left for access into the site and views from that access. Report CDS 26093 contains the technical comments in attachment C. The technical reports that were received were listed here in the presentation. Public comments, both prior to and from this meeting, will be considered as part of a future recommendation report. A number were received prior and are in attachment D. And then a number have been received since and have been circulated to members. It is noted that development engineering has requested a holding provision be applied to the development, including which would also include the updating of a traffic impact assessment to assess the benefits of opening the South Drive road allowance. It would be at the developer's cost to open this part of the road allowance and could be a condition of approval. Given this, staff recommend that report CDS 26093 for development applications ZNPL 2026028 and 28 CPL 2026029 be received for information, and that any comments received as part of the statutory public meeting will be considered in a future staff recommendation report. Thank you, and I'm here if there's any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Wallace. Okay, turn the floor now to committee. Are there questions of the staff report? Councillor Brunton, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm looking at attachment C, the technical comments, and first of all, I'll say it's a little mind-boggling what they want to do with this piece of land. And I know from my discussions with staff that they need an alternate outlet, and I mean, South Drive has been spoken about several times, but to take all the stormwater to the west, in my opinion, is not appropriate. The development to the west, which is, I guess it's called Woodwood Trails, am I correct on that? Westwood Trails? Okay. Quite frankly, I think that was a mistake when that one went through. Everything drains west, and then they try to pump it all back to the east. And anything that goes to the west, I know there's a holding pond out there, but all that water, if it eventually drains away, drains right into the Wellfield catchment area for our drinking water. So I'm not happy at all with their proposal there, and it does sit considerably lower than Westwood Trails. I'm trying to get the wording right on that. So anyways, I think it's a real challenge for our engineering staff to try and accommodate this. Perhaps if they can negotiate an outlet on South Drive, that maybe the stormwater can be taken to the east and out onto Oak Street. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Brunton. Are there further? Yes, Councillor Van Passen.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Since this has already been to the OLT and they've approved the development, do we have any room on what can be developed or only how it can be developed? Like, how much leeway do we have once the OLT has ruled on it?
Ms. Call, Acting Director of Planning.
Through the chair to Councillor Van Passen. So it's when the OLT makes the decision, it's just like when council makes a decision, so someone can come in for a new application at any time after that.
Okay, so we're not, our hands are not tied. So, and I agree with Councillor Brunton. I think it's absolutely necessary that we get an access off of South Drive, and if that helps with the drainage, whether you know, we upsize some storm sewers out there so that it has a proper path, because I don't know how this part of town is, but where I live, water does go downhill, and that is the easiest way to get rid of it. When you got to pump it back up, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So staff have their work cut out for them to find solution to the problems. So.
Thank you, Councillor Van Passen. Anything further? Those on the line? Councillor Brunton, please go ahead.
I'd like to ask a question. Like, if it's condominium agreement on Westwood Trails, I believe. If that group ultimately says, no, you can't come on our property or connect to our property, I assume they have that right. Do they not? Can somebody answer that question?
Westwood Trails, yes, is a separate condominium development. In terms of the access, Fernwood is not part of that development. So Fernwood, in terms of access to the site, is not an issue. In terms of using that land as part of their drainage scheme, surface water drainage scheme, then yes, that could present issues.
That's what I say. That's an issue for that condominium agreement to say yes or no, I would assume. It's their property, is it not?
I think Mr. Wallace has nodded in the affirmative to that. So thank you. Anything further, Councillor Brunton? Just a couple of points, if I may, and I appreciate that there's a deputation coming up on this one. I too would agree that the additional access is absolutely paramount. In my position already, I would say that it's a bit of a maze getting over there at this moment, and adding more homes over there, it's pretty tight, so I'm not so sure about that one. I do want to ask Mr. Grice, I think, related to waste collection, in that section of town is already, again, as I said, a little tight. Does this layout, knowing that our waste collection methods are changing later this fall, has that been considered already?
So through the chair, we'd have to go back and look at the plan in more detail, but you are correct with the upcoming changes. The subdivisions and condominiums need to be laid out in such a manner that our vehicles can get through going in a forward direction of travel, not allowing for any backup. So we'd have to look at their turning radiuses and whatnot to ensure it meets those needs, but we'll make sure that's included in the report that comes back to council.
Thank you, and sort of piggybacking on that, I assume the same related to snow removal?
Through the chair, absolutely.
Thank you. Okay. Anything further from committee at this moment? We'll hear the deputation next and then can circle back to questions around the table if there are any. So we have one registered speaker for this item. Oh, my apologies. Mr. Rowe, hold tight.
Yeah,
Councillor
just
Columbus.
a question. Who would then be responsible to extend South Drive if we want an access to the south?
Mr. Wallace?
As far as I'm aware, it needs to be done to municipal standards, but by the developers.
Sufficient, Councillor Columbus? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so just the way this will roll out, we'll hear the deputation. There will be questions of committee to the deputation, and then we'll turn it over to the gallery for questions and comments, etc., to staff. So, at this moment in time, I will welcome Mr. Craig Rowe from GSP Group, related to 16 Fernwood Drive. You have 5 minutes for your deputation, and as per procedural bylaw, I'll let you know when you have 1 minute remaining. Please go ahead.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I'm not going to really duplicate a lot of the context information that we heard from Mr. Wallace today. I think what's most important to the committee and members of the public here today is to truly understand the nature of the application and the context. We've only had the benefit of seeing a few of the public comments that were published with the agenda, but also hearing some of the comments from around the table tonight, I think there's several points of clarity that need to be brought forward to ensure that we get a good decision on this. So if I could have the slide advance, please. So a bit of a background on this application. So what's been submitted and before the county right now are applications for a zoning bylaw amendment with site-specific provisions and a vacant land condominium. So the zoning bylaw amendment seeks to refine the current site-specific zoning that's in effect that was applied for and approved for the previous developer. The forms of units that they used are not proposed in this plan, and therefore all of those site-specific criteria we cannot use. So we've had to propose our own site-specific criteria for the group townhouse dwellings, as well as the semi-detached dwellings. The previous development advanced right to the point of a subdivision agreement and a site plan agreement. Unfortunately, the previous developer, they went bankrupt, and our client was the holder of the mortgage, so they've taken the property back, and they're advancing it forward for the residential approvals that were generally envisioned by the OLT. Next slide, please. So in terms of the size of the subject lands, nothing has changed from the previous applications, no additions or deletions from the property. 1.72 hectares, or about 4.25 acres, with close to 20 meters of frontage existing on Fernwood Drive, which is a public road. We have residential development on 3 sides, including a variety of different dwelling types, group townhouse dwellings in the condominium to the west, as well as single detached dwellings to the north in the east. And then to the south, we have the agricultural lands on the other side of the urban boundary. We're also close by to Westward Acres Park, which is about 160 meters northwest if you're walking. Next slide, please. So in terms of the previous approved development plan, it was called Norfolk Meadows. In total, it had 67 units. 43 of those units were street townhouse dwellings. The main difference being a street townhouse dwelling fronts onto a public municipal road. Group townhouse dwelling fronts onto a private or condominium road. There are also 24 fourplex dwelling units in the middle of the site, looking a little bit more like a stacked townhouse dwelling around the center island that you see there. This development was proposed as parcels of tied land. The verbiage on the slide is actually backwards. It would be a condominium pub or a private street with private servicing underneath, and all the lots would be publicly held. So the subdivision wouldn't include the road creation. Those lots would be tied to the condo road in perpetuity. Now, if we advance the slide, the current proposal that we have that's been submitted is for 68 units. So we've gone up 1 unit in this development. What we've introduced are group townhouse dwellings. They look pretty much the same as a street townhouse dwelling, except they have the frontage on the private road that's being created through the condo. 54 of those in total, as well as semi-detached dwellings, which have been located along the eastern side of the property, providing a little bit of a better transition with some of the existing single detached dwellings to the east. We also have 27 on-street parking spaces within the development, and that includes spaces for accessible parking, barrier-free. All the water, sanitary, and storm services would be privately owned and maintained by the condo corporation, as it's a vacant land condo. Next slide. So just to give a sense of how the vacant land condominium works, It's a fully private site. Every unit owner gets a tract of land with their house on it. So they do have a front yard, their driveway area. They have their own amenity area in the rear yard. And then we have common elements around the outside with all of our drainage infrastructure. And then the roads, parking, boulevards, those are all under common element ownership as well. And that allows us to work with smaller scale roads to get more intensive development on the site and achieve an appropriate unit yield on the property. Next slide. So just some the typical elevations that were submitted with the application, working with PDG architects. They're going for a bit more of a traditional style with the preliminary architecture, not very modernist, blocky. Peaked roofs using a variety of different materials. It could include stone or siding works. So this would be what a typical group townhouse block would look like. Next slide. And the semi-detached dwellings are fairly similar to that, just having 2 units instead of 3 up to 6 in a row. Next slide. And this will touch on just some of the key items, and I'm happy to take any questions about this. But in terms of the public roadway access, we do have existing public frontage on Fernwood Drive. There is a future extension possible for South Drive, which we've left an allowance for in the southeast corner of the site for an eventual future connection, but it's not planned as a permanent connection at the point of development. The transportation impact study was scoped by Norfolk County, and it resulted in 40 a.m. peak trips, so between typically 7 and 9 in the morning, 47 trips, 7 in, 35 out. And then at night, the dinner hour, say 3 to 5, 4 to 6 in there, 52 peak trips. The conclusions of that study were that there were no impacts on adjacent intersections or road capacity. There will be an increase in traffic, but there are no negative impacts or the need for any sort of infrastructure improvers. With regard to the question we heard earlier, the site can facilitate waste collection movements and the county's fire trucks. We had those modeled in our engineering drawings, and they've shown through sweat path analysis that they do work. Next slide. I provide a bit of a diagram here, and this would be the stormwater connection point on the screen. So in terms of servicing this site, we do have water and sanitary available at Fernwood Drive, and the plan is to connect to that via private water main, private sanitary sewer on the site. But stormwater would then be directed to the southwest corner. There's an existing stub and a catch basin that this development would tie into. The capacity for this site was modeled nearly a decade ago and incorporated in the approval of adjacent developments. The capacity for this site sits within the stormwater management facility to the west. Part of our work was to reevaluate that, ensure that our flow still fit within the capacity that's available. So what would happen is all stormwater would be collected. It would go into the storm sewer system, proceed through Westwood Trails, and then onto the wet pond facility for treatment. And that is an infiltration pond. So rather than outletting into a water course, it infiltrates slowly into the ground and recharges the water table. So we are aware of the servicing conditions and the dialogue that we do need to have with the adjacent landowner. But this connection and drainage has been considered since the early days, including in the servicing reports for that adjacent development. Next slide, please. In terms of landscaping and amenity area, we provide a preliminary landscape plan with this development. The internal roadway will be planted with street trees along the boulevard. There's a stone entrance feature that will be proposed at Fernwood Drive to dress up the entrance a little bit. And then every unit will have unit planting beds along the foundation. We also have, within a 60-meter walk, the Westwood Park. And then because it's a vacant land condo, every unit owner has their own functional backyard. So that is their exclusive amenity area. Next slide, please. Mr. Chair, how am I doing on time? I only have a couple slides left.
My apologies. You are over, actually. So, and I wrote it down and I meant to keep track, and I'm sorry I forgot. I shouldn't have done that. So, 30 seconds, wrap it up if you don't mind.
Perfect. Okay. So the zoning deficiencies, we can come back to these. Basically, the way we've zoned the site is because we don't have lots. We have units. There's no lot lines. We've set up the setbacks. They're taken from the adjacent property lines, from the private road setback, like you would from a normal road in a subdivision, and then between the units, we're bound to get the buildings in the placement, which is shown on the site plan. So this is a technical amendment to site those buildings properly, and it aligns with the general provisions of the R4 zone that overarches. And last final slide is public comments. I'm happy to leave those up there while we go through any discussion that you may have.
Okay, thank you very much for your deputation. And again, my apologies to the gallery. I didn't keep them on track. I got caught up in the servicing. Okay, so are there any questions of the deputation? Councillor Columbus first, then Councillor Brunton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And this is a condo development, so are sidewalks going in front of every build?
Through you, Mr. Chair, in the current plan, we don't have any internal sidewalks. There's two reasons for that. One, they don't currently connect to anything on Fernwood Drive, so we don't have an ample connection there. But as it is a condo, there won't be any on-street parking allowed. So the private roadway is multi-purpose. It works for the passage of vehicles, and it also works for the passage of pedestrians. It's not overly common, but you will see it in some areas where you have tighter development. The sidewalks aren't included because it's a smaller scale of development.
And secondly, Mr. Chair, when do you anticipate the first basement going in?
Provided that all the approvals go through, we are subject to site plan approval. It's possible that servicing could begin in 2027, subject to a favorable recommendation and approval.
Thank you, Councillor Columbus. Councillor Brunton next, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question is, can you go back to that diagram that shows the storm sewer connection, please? My question on that is, that land is considerably lower than the, what is that, Westwood Trails, Fernwood Drive, I think it's called, whatever, where you connect. Is that pumped or is it gravity?
Through Mr. Chair, so I'm a land use player, I'm not an engineer, but I did chat with my engineers who helped me understand the context and a bit of the grade issue. And we've seen this in the public comments that have come out is about some of the overspill and I won't use the word flooding, but a lot of overspill with drainage and everything. The site is lower, but the site has to be raised as part of the engineering work on this. When the sanitary sewer was put into Fernwood Drive, when it comes into the site, it's not low enough to have appropriate frost cover for engineering standards. So we have to lift the site up. So we will be doing our work to get the grading set on that property, and there will be a surrounding retaining wall. So everything will be basically captured almost like a giant bowl, will be directed into the stormwater system and then put out through the outlet leaving the property. So the piped connection to the adjacent lands would be underground. It wouldn't be surface drainage.
No, but the actual connection, I'm talking the two pipes that come from A to B, if I can use that terminology, like they're going to be pumped? I mean, if you put your storm sewer in, even if you raise the land, it's quite a bit different there. There's no invert elevations on here, that's why I'm asking the question. But I'll leave that with staff if it's right. But the sanitary would be deeper than the storm too. Is it pumped?
Through Mr. Chair, so from the units, sanitary will be pumped up to the sewer, and stormwater will be pumped up to the stormwater service as well, whether that's just through the roof leaders or from individual.
Thank you.
Okay, other questions from committee? Okay, I have a couple. What do you envision at this moment would be the construction access?
Through you, Mr. Chair, certainly with any construction, the goal is to ensure that impacts on adjacent lands are limited. South Drive does present an opportunity for an access. We do have a clear zone in the plan that would have pavement up to the edge of the property where trucks could access it. It hasn't been defined yet, but I would imagine that would be the direction that we're steered in. Of course, there would have to be some work to South Drive to make it accessible and passable for construction vehicles.
Okay, thank you. I would say that makes sense. I think getting there with construction vehicles via the other route is almost difficult and impossible. Okay, I'm curious the sizing of the roadway and how that compares to the sizing of Westwood Trail, the roads within Westwood Trails. Because I asked the question because I would say it's tight over there right now, and they are single car driveways, and if you park a pickup truck over there, it's basically nose to the road and to the garage door. So I'm curious what the sizing would look like in your development.
So I don't have the plan in front of me. I believe that we're around 7 meters at minimum, our internal road. Typically for vacant land condominiums, you can go as low as 6 meters, which is the OBC standard for a fire route, and you can still operate vehicles through there. We've worked with our design to keep the road a bit bigger, as with the previous development. Is suitably sized where we can get those waste collection vehicles, fire trucks through. Also allows for our separation of all of our internal services, which will be privately owned by the condo. Setbacks to the front of the building are 6 meters, so that would be occurring on everyone's own property in their exclusive use driveway apron area. And there, that could accommodate a larger scale vehicle, and then they would also have a garage on their property as well. So the size of the road, I'm not sure how it exactly compares, but even with the smaller sizing, it still is functional, and we've done the demonstration plans to indicate that we can maneuver safely around the development.
I think you touched on it there, but can you just expand? The driveways are meant to be single car, double car. What does that look like?
To Mr. Chair, the driveways in their preliminary sense are single car driveway with the tandem configuration with the garage for the townhouses. There may be an option to make them a little bit wider as we go into the detailed engineering and grading, but they would not be a double wide driveway. But effectively, we are providing 2 functional parking spaces per unit plus the 27 that are in the common element for visitor parking.
And you're getting to 2 by 1 in the garage, 1 in the driveway?
Yes, 1 in the garage, 1 in the driveway.
You can't park in my garage right now. It's full of children's bikes and hockey equipment. So, okay. Privacy for neighboring properties. This would front on Lee, Thompson, Fernwood, you know, basically all of those properties all surrounding that perimeter would have view into other backyards. Any plan for privacy?
Through you, Mr. Chair, so the heights that are proposed are permitted as of right. They're 2-story dwellings. They've gone with the peaked roof, so even with the additional height allowance that the new bylaw does provide for, there is no 3rd story there. If you look at the house plans, you'll see that the closest positions where the townhouse units abut, so on their side wall, there's only 1 window on that area, and then on the upper floors it's a bedroom window, so it's not occupied, it's not a common space where people are always going to be looking out of it. It's very incidental overlook. So there is a plan for a perimeter fencing to go around the property, as well as the setbacks are 7.5 meters or 25 feet. So that does provide a substantial amount of setback and helps with the overlook. There's no balconies proposed on the upper level, so we're satisfied that those typical measures should be enough to ensure the privacy of the adjacent properties.
I didn't fully see it in the diagram. Can you just speak to the number of parking spaces available on the site that aren't the driveways?
That don't include the driveways. Through Mr. Chair, are you excluding the garages as well?
Correct.
It would be 27, I believe, on the diagram within the common element, and those are spread throughout the development, inclusive of a couple of...
In 2 places only, is that correct?
No, there's one in the northeast, there's a bay in the in the northwest, the southwest, and then there's parallel parking that's along the east side of the drive around the center island. So there's 3 areas so that you don't need to park in one corner and then walk to the other side of the development. They're spread around in the common element for the use of visitors.
I'm wondering if our clerk could maybe put that diagram back up so I could just take a quick look at that.
Yes, the landscape plan might actually show it the best.
I guess I raised the question, and I'll just say, you know, for those that are on the back stretch, if they don't have parking close by, but yet there's only a single car driveway, you know, most families have at least 2 vehicles, and then if they have company, I'm not sure where they're going to park. So can you just explain where those spaces would be?
Yes, so in the northwest corner, so plan view is north on that. Northwest corner across from the bank of townhouses. Yep. There's an accessible space in that area as well. And then down to the south over where the storm sewer connection is, southwest, there's another bank there. Then we have some indented parallel parking spaces, which you'll find around the center island and the flanking yards next to the townhouses in the middle.
Okay. All right, that's my questions. Councillor Brunton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Something that came to mind when you started talking about parking and traffic. My question is, your trip calculations, are they based on your new layout or the old layout, like your traffic study? What, is that taken from the old?
Through you, Mr. Chair, this is a new consultant was brought on and completed a new traffic analysis, and that work was scoped by the county.
Based on this development?
Based on the proposed development that's before you, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, are there further questions of committee to the deputation? Okay, seeing none, I will look for a motion to receive the deputation as information. Moved by Councillor Columbus, seconded by Councillor Van Passen. Thank you. Call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. All right. Okay, so we are going to move on to public comments related. Yes, I'm on track. Okay, public comments related to this application. So, is there anyone in chambers that wishes to speak? Please come forward to the podium. I see the microphone is on. I'll ask you to state your name for the public record, and you have 5 minutes for your comments. Again, like before, if we have a simple answer to the question, we'll do our best. If not, our staff are noting all of the questions, concerns raised today.
Thank you. My name is Charlotte Morgan, and I live at 40 Serviceberry Lane in Westwood Trails. I have questions more than answers. Is there going to be an access road from the subject lands, or is all of those residents going to be funneling onto Fernwood and then thus in our subdivision? Also, too, if there is an emergency up on Thompson Road or in the cul-de-sac behind us, how do the emergency vehicles get into the proposed area as well as our townhouses? A few years ago, there was a fire on Thompson Road, and with all of the emergency vehicles, it blocked the entire road leading into our subdivision, which meant that if there was a serious altercation or a problem with someone's health, an ambulance wouldn't have been able to get through. And so I'm asking if the intention is to build a road using South Drive. Is that going to go through the subdivision, or is it just going to go part way and only be an exit? Is it also an entrance? And how many floors are in this proposed condominium building? And how many units are proposed for each building? And how many condos are proposed for this lot? When will they be built, which I understand are started in 2027? The other thing is, will this affect our realty taxes? Is there any subsidized housing proposed? What percentage will be subsidized? From what I understand, there is a shortage of housing in Simcoe, subsidized housing especially, and are these buildings going to address that? Will that include more cars in our subdivision? And also, too, Fernwood is not a public road. It's classed as a private road. Pardon?
Okay, sorry to the gallery. I appreciate your comments. I think staff have already said it is a public road, but please continue with your comments.
Okay. Has an environmental study been done on that lot? That's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't know if anyone in the planning department wants to provide any responses at this moment in time to any of those questions.
Well, I certainly, through the chair, can clarify a couple of things.
Thank you.
In terms of the number of units, there are 68 condo units being proposed. They are 2 stories in height, as was shown on the elevation drawings. To my knowledge, no, there is no subsidized housing or affordable housing proposed for this site. I will need to verify, I believe an EIS has been done, but I do need to verify that, an environmental impact study. And in terms of the development of South Drive, it would go all the way through, not a South Drive, but it would connect in and then connect back out through Fernwood. But that is a discussion still to be had with the developer in terms of the provision of that extension to South Drive.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wallace. And again, we're capturing everything today, and there will be considerations and discussions that will take place with the applicant and their agent as it moves forward and will be addressed in the next staff report. Are there other speakers? Please come forward. Yeah, and if you can just make a line over there, that would be great. Please state your name for the public record. You've got 5 minutes.
Name for the public record is Justine Drouse. I live at 6 Fernwood Drive. Apologies if some of these have already been answered in the presentation, but from the plan that we saw, it didn't have a lot of information. So I just want to clarify that the proposed development plan that we saw in the presentation will be available to the public going forward, because the one that we currently saw had 0 details on the types of housing, yard space, etc. The proposal that we saw as well, no urban green space was shown. We know that this helps to negate effects of climate change and also has a positive impact on people's physical and mental health. So I just want to understand why there is no green space included in this planning and if it would be in the future. Additionally, these third spaces also promote community connection. So I just want to iterate that. And I wanted to see if there was an environmental impact study that's been conducted on this part of land yet. I was curious about a traffic impact study. It sounds like it has been conducted now, but I'm hoping that information can also be made available to the public. Reiterating what one of the other commenters said, the space is already quite tight at that Thompson Street funnel. So when there are emergency vehicles or on waste pickup days, it is already quite difficult passing through that space. And I think I got clarification on those. And this is slightly related, but not entirely. Will the street sign for Fernwood be corrected? Currently, the street sign for Fernwood Drive says Fernwood Court, but it's Fernwood Drive. So I feel like that should also be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So a few puzzled looks from our staff, so that should be fun. We'll get that figured out. Okay, up next.
My name's Lee Hall. I'll give you the correct spelling of Lee is L-A-I-G-H, and I dislike my mother for it. I am one of the people who were affected by the fire on Thompson Road. My wife had a medical emergency, and if it wasn't for the fire department helping me get her out, we wouldn't have. The other thing is, Mr. Brunton, the wastewater, the connection, there is an agreement between the builder and the previous owner to let them hook into our pond through the sewers. My thing is that agreement would have to be renegotiated with the new owners, and maintenance has gone up in cost, and that's why I'm saying it would have to be renegotiated. I was on the board of directors of Westward Trails when that was negotiated, or just after it was negotiated. And that agreement is between Westwood Trails, County of Norfolk, and that property. So hopefully that clears things up for you. So it would be a bigger demand on our pond. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Okay, next.
Hi, my name is Sharon Brown. I live at 10 Fernwood, so I'm just at the end of the road where the goes in there. The noise level, and this is just like right now, without any construction. I work at home, and most of the time when there's activity on that road, I cannot work. It's just so I just want to know, how is this construction going to affect me who work at home? Because that's my livelihood. So I'm very concerned about that. The next thing, the fence that we have hits at a particular level, and I understand it has to be that level because of the bylaw. With your building being that high, how is that going to affect my house and the privacy that I have in my backyard? Because again, I work at home. My clients come at home. I work with Bank of Montreal, so I'm constantly having clients there. So I just want to know, how is that going to affect my productivity, and how is that going to affect my privacy? Another thing about that area, the kids tend to play in that area. I'm just wondering, how is that going to affect them? The playground's a little bit on the distance, but this is the area that most of those little kids, the tiny tots, and just hang out, and it's good just hearing them. Are you going to take that away from me? Are you going to take that away from us?
Okay, thank you very much for your comments. Again, they've been captured. Next. Yes.
Stanley Szymkowski. I like to ask about connections for the water and the sewer. How is going to be implicated our neighborhood? The pressure of the water is very low, and hooking up another 70 or whatever units is going to be disaster. What about the wastewater pumping into the existing system? How is going to be affected? Backflow is huge concern. The other services safety has been already spoken. Even on the south, if you open on the corner, how are you going to squeeze the road for the safety? So if you have on the plan, it's almost impossible to get with fire truck or whatever. So what is the provision for? Do we have any plan? Do we have any access to this information?
Okay, thank you very much. Again, your comments are being captured by our staff and will be addressed in the future staff report. Up next.
Hi, my name is Ernie DeSantis. I live in Westwood Trails. And I just wanted to question the study of the traffic survey. We live on the corner, so I see the survey every day with the cars going in and out. Amazon trucks, UPS, deliveries, again, garbage day. And now we're going to add almost identical amount of cars, maybe even more, into that road that are going to be funneling into Thompson Road, which is even worse than where we are. So I just wanted to know, when was the survey done, who did it, and what are the standards for how much traffic is allowed before it becomes a nuisance to people? Because that also causes dirt, pollution, and all those other factors, because some days we have our screen door open in the front, and if there's a lot of traffic coming through there, we get a lot of dust coming in our house because everybody's whipping it up, whipping around the corners and stuff. So I just want to know what the standards are. Is that a government regulation, like a ministry standard, and who decides whether the study is proper or not? Is that the council, or is it a board? Like, we keep hearing about this OTL, which I assume is a tribunal. So I'm not too familiar with that. So I just want to know if we can get answers to those questions. What are the standards? What are the parameters? And how are they going to come up with whether this was properly done or not? Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. And yes, the OLT is the Ontario Land Tribunal. Is there any staff response at this moment to any of those points?
Through the chair, just to confirm, so the standards for the traffic impact study?
Correct,
So
when it was done, et cetera.
Yeah, I can look into when it was completed, but I know it's been reviewed by engineering staff, and there's a number of issues that they've asked there's revisions that have been requested. But I could look up when it was done and that type of thing, maybe kind of offline.
And just to reiterate, there are standards that are set by the province that need to be met related to development, correct?
There are. In terms of traffic impact studies, are typically scoped to address specific developments. There's not just one standard for every single TIS.
Did you have a question, Councillor Bratton, of staff or of the deputation? Okay, yep, go ahead.
Like you mentioned, it's a traffic study. Can you do a peer review on that, our staff?
Through the chair, yes, we can peer review it. And also, Andrew Wallace, let me know the traffic studies from November 2025.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, staff. Okay. Next speaker, please come forward. Yep. State your name for the public record, please.
My name is Zeke Gulab Singh. I live on Westwood Trails. If there is an exit from this development onto Fernwood Drive, I would invite members of council to take a drive through Fernwood Drive and Thompson Road. There's parking on both sides of the street on Thompson Drive. It's a nightmare with kids, and it would be a boon to the lawyers in the community if there is an accident on Fernwood Drive, and it's very possible that that could occur on Thompson Road and Fernwood Drive. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next. Yep, please come forward. And again, state your name for the public record, please.
My name's Brian Binks, and my wife Marianne and I own the property at 53 Thompson Road. We'll be backed up on this. Initially, it was supposed to be a 4-unit dwelling that was going behind us. Now it's going to be 5. Members of council, a number of you, when we went through this back in 2019, virtually all council members came to my property, had a look out the back. We put a flagpole up out the back at 11 meters and at 9.4 meters. That's probably about 11 meters. And that's going to be right in my backyard. Now there's going to be 5 units and then another 5 directly beside it. My neighbors are going to have an end unit. We'd like it brought back. Council stated back in 2019 that they could only have 9.4 meters on the perimeter. That was the advice given by council, that on the existing homes, that the townhouses could not exceed 9.4 meters, not the 11 that they're asking. They're asking for 11, and yes, it's only a 2-story building. I taught architectural design for 22 years. It's a 2-story building. We have an issue with water flow back there. How do we resolve that? Let's lift it up out of the ground another 4 feet, and now we're asking for 11 meters to the peak of the roof so that we have that water flow. That's how they're doing it. And there is a big difference, Mr. Wallace, between 9.4 and 11 meters.
Sorry, sir, I will get you just to speak into the microphone so that we can capture it for the record.
9.4 meters versus 11 meters when it's in your backyard, looking down into your bedroom or onto your deck, or most of my neighbors have pools into their backyard. At 11 meters, I'm sorry, as much as on an end unit, there's only one window. We're not an end unit. We have the backs of all of these. We have all their bedroom windows, their kitchen window, or whatever. So we have that. We're losing our privacy. And at 11 meters, like that's what, I was quoted by the paper back then that would be a wall that Donald Trump would be proud of. Do you remember that? That's what they were proposing, a wall that Mr. Trump would be proud of. Well, that's basically what's going to happen behind our place. I'd ask all council members, by all means, please come. My home, our home, is open to you at any time to come and see where the wall is proposed.
Okay.
There's a few other things, though.
Yep, just keep it quick. We're getting close on time.
One is water pressure. We have virtually no water pressure now. When that was developed, when our neighborhood was developed back in 1978, and I know that because mine was the second house built, my parents built it. We have virtually our water pressure now. Flush a toilet downstairs, I hope you're not having a shower upstairs. Where's the extra water coming from? And if we have fires, where's the water pressure going to come from? So that's one of my other issues. Thank you.
Mr. Binks, thank you very much. Okay, are there further comments from the gallery? Okay, seeing none, thank you. I will ask if there's anyone on the line that wishes to speak. Okay, Councillor Michelli, I see you have your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to know if there is an answer to one of the public members' questions as to why there is no green space accounted for here.
I will pose that to Ms. Cull, our Acting Director of Planning.
Through the chair, so there's the option of parkland or cash in lieu of parkland for every development. We will have, I can't remember if we have comments from parks or not, but we will get those typically in a condo because it is privately owned, not really open to the public. We get cash in lieu of parkland instead, so we can use that to either buy or improve other parkland. But no decision's been made here, so we haven't formally said for sure no parkland or anything like that. So that's good feedback for us to take back.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Michelli. Okay, and then final call. Anyone in the gallery or anyone online that wishes to speak to the report? Okay, thank you very much. I would therefore now look for a mover for the staff recommendation, which is to receive as information and all of the comments made by the public gallery. Is there a mover? Moved by Councillor Van Passen, seconded by Deputy Mayor Very. Call the question, please. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Okay, I think is it our last item? One more, which is 4.7, ZNPL 2025393 and 28 TPL 2025392 relates to Thompson Road, Waterford. It is staff report CDS 26-067. Just give it a few seconds there for the gallery to clear out. Okay, I think we can move forward. So Mr. Wallace is the planner on this file. Please take the floor and present your report.
Thank you. Through the chair, this application is seeking a zoning bylaw amendment to facilitate a red line of a draft plan of subdivision on the site to the southeast of the junction of Blue Line Road and Thompson Road in Waterford. It is proposed to change the zoning on Part 1 of the subject lands from urban residential Type 2 to urban residential Type 4, with a special provision to allow reduced exterior side yard setbacks to the entire site and reduced lot areas and frontages in Part 2. The existing use was approved through LT, and the proposed buffering lands and the swim pond remain unchanged from that approval. The subject lands are located south of Thompson Road and west of the Blue Line, with frontages on both roads. The land is undeveloped farmland and has residential uses to the north, industrial lands to the east, and agricultural lands to the south and west. As existing, all the lands are within the urban residential official plan designation. The lands are already, as I have noted, in urban residential Type 2. This proposal differs from the original proposal in terms of density only. The addition of townhouses will increase the number of residential units without bringing the residential development any closer to the industrial lands to the east. As you can see in the photographs, the site is undeveloped agricultural farmland, but is within the urban boundaries. Only immediate residential neighbors are to the south within the ag zone, although the main concerns previously raised by council were in regards to the impact on the existing industrial lands and any limitations that a residential development this close by could have. You can see some of the technical reports that were received in support of this. Report CDS 26067 contains the technical comments in attachment C. No comments have been received when this report went into the workflow for approval. However, one has been received and has been circulated to members. Public comments both prior to and from this meeting will be considered as part of any future recommendation report. The main considerations with this proposal, given a residential development has already been approved by OLT on this site, is that the approved buffering between the proposed residential development and the industrial lands remains unchanged, and that the swim pond and other drainage arrangements at the top of the site remains unaltered from the approved scheme. A new traffic impact study was submitted in support of the increased density of the development. Given this, staff recommend that report CDS 26067 for development application ZNPL 2025393 and 28 TPL 2025392 be received for information, and that any comments received as part of the statutory public meeting will be considered in a future staff recommendation report. Thank you, and I'm here if there's any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Wallace. Are there questions of committee? Okay, seeing none. I do want to note that Mr. Eldon Darbison is here and does have a presentation. This wasn't moved previously as we moved the agenda. However, it was noted by staff as an error that was left off. As this is public hearing, I think we're safe to allow Mr. Darbison to come forward and make his presentation. Thank you. Welcome. You have 5 minutes.
All right. Thank you very much for having me. I'm Eldon Darbison, Director of Planning with G. Douglas Valley Limited. I'm here to present the updates to the Thompson subdivision. Next slide, please. Actually, we can skip this slide. Mr. Wallace has covered most of that information. Okay, so this, Mr. Wallace covered a little bit about the history here. So this was a draft plan and zoning bylaw amendment that was approved by the Ontario Land Tribunal in March of 2025. This was, Lafarge Canada was granted party status at that time. They participated in a full settlement process. The important facts of this is that the subdivision was redesigned to reflect comments from Lafarge and Norfolk Disposal's land use consultants. Mainly, the separation distance to protect the industrial areas and the residents of 70 meters was confirmed to be appropriate. This was done through the land use compatibility study through CCS Engineering and also confirmed by the county's peer reviewer Sonair. At that hearing, there was an agreed statement of facts, and both noise consultants had signed off as party experts, confirming that all the noise issues were resolved. The tribunal found that the proposal was consistent with the PPS and Norfolk County official plan representing good planning and in the public interest. Next slide, please. So this slide generally repeats Mr. Wallace's presentation, but a couple points that are worth noting is that the road pattern remains completely unchanged, and the buffers and separation distances remain completely unchanged. Next slide, please. In this case, from the provincial planning statement, so it's intensification supported by the PPS. It's introducing a more compact form within a serviced area, introducing a broader range of housing options. Land use compatibility is maintained as the OLT conditions are carried through to this application. and it's serviced by full municipal services. It complies with the county's official plan. Particularly, the 70-meter buffer ensures that it complies with the protected industrial designation, and there is no official plan amendment required. It's just a zoning bylaw amendment that we're dealing with. The zoning bylaw amendment itself, yes, it's an R2 to an R4. It introduces the special provisions that Mr. Wallace had discussed. The exterior side yard setback is a normally approved setback. I think this is going to be considered through your general housekeeping from a reduction from 6 meters to 3 meters. And in terms of the lot frontage and the lot area for the townhouse, these are modest reductions consistent with compact urban form and housing attainability objectives. So I think that the key point to all of this, though, is that all of the land use compatibility that was rigorously reviewed at that point in time, all of it is maintained through the road pattern buffers and separation distances. Next slide, please. This is just a recap of everything I just spoke about. I'm here to answer any questions.
Okay, Mr. Iverson, thank you very much. Are there questions from committee to the deputation? Seeing none, thank you very much. May I have a motion to receive the deputation as information? Moved by Councillor Columbus and seconded by Councillor Van den Driesch. Call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. I will open the floor to comments from the public related to this report. Is there anyone in the gallery that wishes to speak? Not seeing anyone. Is there anyone online that wishes to speak to this report? And I'm not seeing anything there either. Okay. May I have a motion to receive for the staff recommendation, which is to receive the report as information and any comments that are received? Mover? Councillor Michelli, seconded by? Councillor Very. Call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Okay, that concludes today's public hearing committee meeting. So may I have a motion to adjourn at 5:10 p.m. Moved by Councillor Brunton and seconded by Councillor Very. Call the question. All those in favor, please. And that is carried. We are going to, for the members present, we're going to break very briefly to allow the feeds to be changed. We will start the special council meeting and approve the agenda. There is a change to the agenda, so we'll do that in just a moment. And then likely, provided that is approved, go into closed, in an early closed and break just before that starts. Okay? So Councillor Van Passen, yep.
Wouldn't we have to at least open the council meeting and recess it before 5:15? You got to do that.
Yes, so. Yes. We're just going to take a quick minute just to change the online feed, the stream, and then yeah, we'll get started. Make the additions to or changes to the agenda. Recess, going closed. So give us a minute.